In 1926, a comedian sent a full-size steam locomotive plunging off a burning bridge into a river below. No miniatures. No trick photography. One take because there was only ever going to be one train. It is still called the single most expensive shot of the entire silent era, and it nearly ended the man who filmed it. That man was Buster Keaton, one of the greatest comedians who ever lived. His trademark was a face that never, ever smiled, no matter how much chaos exploded around him. They called him the Great Stone Face. While the world fell apart, Buster just stared, deadpan, and kept moving. The General is a comedy set during the American Civil War. Keaton plays a railroad engineer who loves two things in life, his locomotive and his sweetheart. When Union spies steal both his train and his girl, he gives chase, alone, straight into enemy territory. It is an action movie and a love letter to trains, told entirely with a straight face. Here's what makes The General feel unlike anything from its era. Almost none of it is faked. The chases are real trains moving at real speed across real countryside. Keaton hated cheating the audience with cuts and camera tricks. If you see him on top of a moving locomotive, that is actually him, up there, with no safety net below. Keaton did all his own stunts, and many of them were genuinely dangerous. He climbed over moving cars, dangled from cow catchers, and balanced on the connecting rods of a working engine. There were no stunt doubles to hide behind and no digital safety to fall back on. Every risky frame is a real person risking real injury. The film builds to its legendary set piece, a locomotive driving across a burning wooden bridge that collapses beneath it. The train tumbles into the river in a spectacular, unrepeatable crash. Because it used an actual full-size engine, they had exactly one chance to get it right. That single shot reportedly cost more than any other in silent film history. When the bridge collapsed and the locomotive hit the water, the production simply left the wreckage where it landed. For years afterward, that ruined engine sat in the riverbed as a local curiosity, drawing sightseers who came to gawk at the most expensive crash in movies. It was scrapped much later, but the legend never left. You would think a film this ambitious would be celebrated on arrival. Instead, The General flopped. Critics in 1926 found it cold, talky in structure, and not funny enough for a Keaton comedy. Audiences mostly stayed away. The movie that cost a fortune simply did not earn it back. The failure was a turning point, and not a good one. The huge budget and weak box office made studios wary of letting Keaton run his own productions. Soon after, he lost much of the creative independence that had made his films so unique. The General did not just disappoint, it helped knock him off the top. So why were the 1926 reviewers so wrong? They were measuring it as a gag machine, counting laughs per minute. But The General was something rarer. A film where the comedy, the action, and the storytelling all move as one perfectly engineered system. They were grading a clock by how loudly it ticked and missing that every gear meshed flawlessly. Decades later, audiences and historians looked again, and the verdict completely reversed. The very things critics dismissed, the realism, the restraint, the precision, started to look like genius. The flop became a classic. Today, The General is routinely ranked among the greatest films ever made, not just the greatest comedies. What keeps it alive is honesty. In an age of green screens and weightless digital effects, there is something thrilling about knowing the train is real, the bridge really burned, and the man on top of it really could have been hurt. Keaton bet everything on the audience believing their own eyes, and 100 years later we still do. Buster Keaton spent years underrated, his masterpiece written off as a costly mistake. He did not live to see every honor it eventually received, but the work outlasted the bad reviews. The lesson is almost too perfect. Sometimes the thing that nearly destroys you is the thing that makes you immortal. And because The General is now in the public domain, you can watch that legendary train crash, free and legal, anytime you want. If you love the real stories behind the films time forgot, you are in the right place. This is The Real Vault. Subscribe, and let's crack open the next one together.